My name is Ram Bautista Tuzo.
And I'm Maria Vanessa Yesco.
And for today's video, we're going to tell a story, one of the works of Geoffrey Chaucer, which is the Reeve Tale.
Oh, hi! Today, I will tell a story about the Reeve's Tale. Simkin is a bald, pug-nosed miller who lives near Cambridge and swindles all his customers. The miller's wife was raised in nunnery and stings with pride at her expensive upbringing. They have a fat, pug-nosed 20-year-old daughter and a 6-month-old infant. The miller intends to marry the daughter into a family of worthy ancestry. One day, the principal of a school in Cambridge, who regularly grinds Simpkins' grain, gets sick. Simpkins takes this opportunity to steal all kinds of corn and wheat, where he had once stolen, but courteously. He now is a thief outrageously. Two young scholars, John and Alan, who come from a town in northern England, get permission from the headmaster to try and stop Simpkin from stealing more grain. The scholars ask the miller to explain every step of the grain grinding process. The wily miller realizes that their policing has activities, and he unties their horse and loses it into a field of wild mares. When the clerks realize that their horse is missing, they spend all day chasing it back, which gives Simpkin plenty of time to steal flour from them. Since they have spent the whole day trying to catch their horse, Alan and John pay Simpkin to lodge for the night at his house. Everyone goes to his or her respective beds in the same room. The miller, who is drunk, and the miller's wife go to bed with the infant's cradle at their feet. The miller's daughter, Alan and John also go to bed. To take revenge against Simpkin, Alan decides to have sex with the miller's daughter. John, not to be outdone, takes the cradle and puts it at the foot of his own bed. The miller's wife wakes up to urinate, and when she comes back, she climbs into the bed with the cradle at the foot of it. Of course, this is John's bed, and John and the miller's wife have sex. Early in the morning, Alan creeps out of the miller's daughter's bed, but first the miller's daughter tells him about half a bushel of milk that she has helped to steal from her father for the clerks to have. Alan then gets into her own bed. For things he does, he too is struck by the cradle and ends up getting in bed with Simpkin instead of John. Thinking he is talking to John, Alan brags that he has slept with the miller's daughter. However, he is actually talking to Simpkins himself. The miller, outraged, punches Alan in the nose. As the men fight, the miller tumbles onto the bed that his wife and John are in. The miller's wife wakes up and tries to help her husband by hitting the clerks with a staff. But she mistakes Simpkins' bald head with her white cuffs and ends up hitting her husband by accident. Alan and John beat up Simpkin, grab the grain that the miller's daughter had told them about, and make their escape. Thus, says the reeve, the proud miller is bested. Allen and John have slept with the miller's wife and with his daughter, and have swindled the swindler, and the reeve has gotten his revenge against Miller. And that is all about the reeve's tale. I hope you enjoyed my story, kids.
Let's dive into the character analysis of the reeve's tale. First, the miller. The miller's Simkin is the central antagonist, driven by greed and a love for outsmarting others. He uses his knowledge of the local area and his charm to deceive students, stealing their money and food. He is a master of manipulation, playing on the students' naivety and desires to gain an advantage. Second, the students. The students, initially portrayed as bookish and inexperienced, are easily tricked by the miller's schemes. However, they demonstrate resourcefulness and a capacity for learning, eventually devising a clever plan to outwit the miller. Third, the miller's wife. While not as cunning as her husband, the miller's wife is complicit in his schemes. She actively participates in deceiving the students and enjoys the spoils of their trickery. And lastly, the reeve. The reeve, a respected member of the community, tells the story from his own perspective, highlighting his own experiences and biases. His own cunning and intelligence suggest he might be a potential target of the miller's schemes. The reeve's prologue and tale, like the miller's before it, are rich in symbolism that contributes to the deeper meaning and social commentary of the story. First, the reeve. It symbolizes social class. The reeve represents the class of official who manage estates for a wealthy landowners. He is often portrayed as shrewd, efficient, and perhaps even a bit cunning. In the prologue, he defends his class, suggesting they are not to be underestimated. Next, the miller. It symbolizes greed and corruption. The miller is portrayed as greedy and deceitful figure exploiting those beneath him. The reeve uses his tale to expose and criticize the miller's unethical behavior. Another one is the students. Symbols of lower classes. The students represent the less fortunate members of society struggling to make their way in a world dominated by the wealthy. They are portrayed as intelligent and resourceful, but also vulnerable and easily manipulated. The students' ability to outsmart the millers highlights their intelligence and ability to adopt challenging situations. This reinforces the idea that even those with less power can find ways to overcome obstacles. And lastly is the night. Symbols of secrecy and deceit. The events of the tale take place primarily at the night, suggesting a time of secrecy and hidden motives, reflecting the deceptive actions of both the miller and the students. Chaucer uses these symbols to explore complexities of social class, power, and human nature, creating a story that is both entertaining and thought-provoking. The Reeve's Tale by Chaucer used literary devices, enriching the narrative and creating a humorous and engaging experience. These are the following. Irony. The tale is rife with irony, particularly in the contrast between the students' expectations and the reality. They believe they found a generous patron only to be tricked and exploited by the miller. Humorous exaggeration. Chaucer employs exaggeration to create humor, describing the millers as a massive, greedy figure and the students as bumbling but clever individuals. Symbolism. As mentioned earlier, the tale is rich in symbolism. The miller, the students, the mill, and other elements all carry symbolic weight, contributing to the story's deeper meaning. The Reeve's Tale, while seemingly a simple response to the Miller's Tale, are packed with themes that resonates beyond the surface level. First, the social class and revenge. The Reeve's Tale is a direct response to the Miller's Tale. He's deeply offended by the miller's portrayal of him and the other race, and he uses his prologue to vent his anger and defend his class. This theme of social class and revenge also permeates his tale, where he uses the story to reclaim power and turn the tables on the miller. Another theme is the importance of wit and resourcefulness. While the students are portrayed as less powerful than the miller, their success is ultimately driven by their wit and resourcefulness. The reeve still emphasizes the importance of being clever and adaptable in a world where power is often unevenly distributed. And lastly, the nature of justice. The reeve still can be interpreted as a form of poetic justice. The students, through initially victims of Miller's greed, manage to outsmart him and take what they can, in a way restoring balance and highlighting the potential for justice even within a seemingly unfair system. These themes are interwoven throughout the Reeves prologue and tale, creating a complex and compelling narrative that resonates with readers even today. In the Reeves tale, I learned that we should be wary of appearances. In a tale, the miller initially appears friendly and helpful, but his true nature is revealed as greedy and deceitful. So it teaches us to be cautious of people who seem too good to be true, especially if they have something to gain from our trust. And learning from our mistakes is essential. This emphasizes the importance of learning from our experiences and using them to grow and improve. The Reeve tale teaches us to be cautious, resourceful, and courageous. It reminds us that we should strive to learn from our mistakes, stand up against injustice, and be aware of the complexities of social dynamics. By understanding the lessons embedded within this humorous tale, we can gain valuable insights into human nature and the world around us.